So a lot of people are shocked, confused as to why a majority of white women would vote for Trump. Why would they cut off their nose to spite their face? Hello, they are white women. That's like their thing, okay? These white women are so right wing that they believe that their whiteness will will shield them from their womanhood. White womanhood is presented as the ideal version of being a woman. And as Judith Butler says, there is this kind of validation that you get from performing gender correctly. And these white women adore that. They're addicted to it. It's a feeling that it fills them with so much joy. So when patriarchy becomes more stricter, like we have seen in the USA, with the repeal of abortion rights, they lean further into patriarchy. Combine that with the economic conditions as well, unemployment, things being too expensive, women saying that they don't want to work because I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl and I just don't want to work because I'm just a girl. You're going to see more people leaning to right-wing ideologies. These women believe themselves exceptional. They are constantly chasing this ideal womanhood of being the perfect woman, which is obviously a fantasy because men will always move the goalpost, and until you are no longer really a person. That alongside with white women not seeing women of colour as real women or allies or anyone that they could side with because they can't really empathise with them because they're so blooming just so racist. It'll shield them from any solidarity with other women. So yeah, that's why loads and loads of white women voted for Trump from a feminist perspective.
To all Black women of America, I want to express my heartfelt apology for the role that many white Americans, including white women, played in electing Donald Trump. I recognize the pain and frustration that this has caused in Black communities and the ways this outcome has undermined the rights, the safety, and the dignity of so many, especially Black women. I understand that Black women have long fought for justice and equity, not just for themselves, but for all marginalized communities. And your commitment to truth, resilience, and progress is truly inspiring. As a white person, I'm aware that part of my responsibility is to listen, learn, and actively challenge systems that harm and marginalize. And it's clear that actions speak louder than words. I'm still committed to doing the work necessary to help build a future where all voices are heard and respected. Thank you for your continued strength and leadership. I'm committed to being an ally and creating positive, lasting changes so that we can all live equally in this country. To all of the white women who let everyone else down, check back with me in 4 years. I'm sorry for your daughters. I'm sorry for your sisters that you made a choice to vote a convicted criminal into the presidency. You complain about crime committed by people who came to this country to seek a new life, but you weren't worried about putting a criminal in office again. You must be aware that he's about to use his power to save himself and to save every insurrectionist who was sentenced as a result of the insurrection. You are truly about to see what misuse of power looks like.
Hey, fellow white women who voted for Kamala, this is not our opportunity to use Black women to ask them to do the labor of providing us with comfort and alleviating our fear and anxiety over the election. We're also not going to come to Black women expecting them to give us a pat on the back and say, we know you're not one of the bad ones. You did what you could, hun. And also, it is not our place to go to Black women when they are criticizing white women. I mean, have you looked at the numbers? And to tell them, not me, it wasn't me, I'm one of the good ones. Stop putting that on Black women. Stop it. Don't do it. If you've got big feelings of fear and trepidation about the future, about our rights as women, if you have intense anger and disappointment at other white women, shame about our demographic, stop asking Black women to manage those feelings for you. You are a grown-ass woman and you get to deal with them. And then how you can turn those feelings into effective strategic action.
Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Robi Masaga. Today I have another interesting discussion to dive into. I want to talk about white women coming forward to apologize to Black women, not just for what Black women have endured historically, but also for their continued strength and leadership in society. At the same time, I want to talk about a white woman who is cautioning white women not to take advantage of this moment, especially now that many of them are realizing the consequences of their political choices, specifically voting for Trump. Black women warned them, but they didn't listen. Now that reality is hitting them, they're seeking solidarity.
There's a very common theme in my DMs right now, specifically from white women who voted for Trump, who feel attacked by me saying that yesterday's results of the election remind me that people don't care about my children or children in general. And they feel attacked or triggered by this because they want to remind me that they do care about my children. They do care about all children. That's why they voted for Trump. And when I come to them and I say, well, Trump's policies are going to cause direct harm to my children and millions of other children in our country. They will cause direct harm. And I explain how and why. And I remind them that I have 3 daughters, 2 children of color, 3 children with special education IEPs or 504s. They will have direct harm from his policies. And I say, you tell me that you voted for Trump because you care about my children and your children. Tell me why. What policies do you think will benefit my children and your children? What policies did you vote for? When you voted, did you think about marginalized people? Did you think about women? Did you think about people of color? Did you think about kids with special needs or pre-existing conditions? Did you think about that? The response is crickets. They just avoid it or don't respond.
So let's start with the apology itself. White women are recognizing the struggles Black women have faced for generations, whether it's systemic racism or the burden of carrying movements for social justice. They acknowledge that Black women have consistently been at the forefront of democracy and equality while often receiving little to no credit. But here's my question. Why now? Why does it take personal consequences for some people to acknowledge injustice? Black women have been sounding the alarm for years. We warned about Trump, we warned about systemic racism, we warned about policies that would strip people of their rights. Yet, when Black women spoke, they were ignored, dismissed, or even vilified. Now that the consequences are affecting white women directly, some are finally waking up. One undeniable truth is that Black women have historically been the backbone of political and social movements. Whether it's the civil rights movement, the fight for the reproductive rights, or voter advocacy, Black women have been doing the work. We cannot ignore the role white women played in electing Trump in the first place. In 2016, 53% of white women voted for him, despite the blatant racism, misogyny, and xenophobia he displayed. Even after 4 years of harmful policies, 55% of white women still voted for him in 2024. This wasn't a mistake, it was a choice. Many of these women benefited from the very systems that oppressed others. They ignored the warnings because they felt secure. But now, as their rights are being stripped, as policies negatively affect them, some are finally realizing what Black women have been saying all along. This isn't just about elections, it's about a long history of complicity. Then we have another white woman stepping in to tell white women not to take advantage of Black women during this moment. And honestly, she's right. Some of these apologies feel performative. Black women are not a dumping ground for white guilt. Black women are not ready to save white women from consequences of their own actions. This white woman is essentially saying, don't just run to Black women now that you're scared. Don't act like Black women owe you guidance when you didn't listen to them. And that is the real conversation that needs to be had. If white women are serious about change, they need to do more than just apologize. They need to put in the work. That means confronting their privilege, challenging racism in their own communities, and actively supporting Black-led initiatives. We've seen this before. Waves of apologies that don't lead to real change. After George Floyd was unalived, companies, influencers, celebrities rushed to show solidarity with Black people. But how much of that was genuine? How many of those promises turned into tangible action? The same question applies here. Are white women apologizing because they truly understand the struggles of Black women, or because they are now personally affected? Will they continue to stand with Black women when the fight gets tough? Or will they retreat back into their privilege when it's convenient? If white women want to make amends, this is what they need to do. 1, they need to acknowledge past and present harm. Not just personal actions, but the systemic ways white women have contributed to and benefited from racism. Number 2 is listen and learn. This means amplifying Black voices without expecting validation in return. Number 3, they need to take action. Whether it's voting, protesting, donating, or advocating for policies that protect marginalized communities. Number 4, They need to hold other white women accountable. It's not enough to apologize. White women need to challenge racism within their own circles, especially when it's uncomfortable. Something else is consistency. Allyship isn't just for when it's trending or when they need protection. It has to be an ongoing effort. At the end of the day, Black women don't need apologies. They need real change. White women need to step up in meaningful ways, not just when they are affected. They need to fight alongside Black people, not just rely on Black women to lead the way. So, while it's interesting to see these apologies rolling in, my message to white women is this: don't just say sorry, do the work, because Black women have been doing it for generations, and they are tired of carrying the burden alone.